I think my Sahaj journey, strangely enough, started with Pink Floyd. Um, when I was 17, I went with my friends to see Pink Floyd in a big concert, and it was amazing. Of course, you can imagine when you're 17 going to an enormous concert like that. And we were talking about it for days afterwards. And then I met a friend of my brother's, and I said, "Were you at this concert?" And he said, "No, no, I went to see a holy Indian woman instead." And we said, "Wow, more interesting than Pink Floyd. We've got to meet her as well." So uh, that's the way it started. And a few weeks after that, a couple of months after that, I was lucky enough to meet Sri Mataji and have my realization. But I was a bit too young to start the discipline that was necessary at that time. So I went away and came back many years later, and I restarted in 1987. And I think that something that touched me immediately was that we were encouraged to develop as artists so much in Sahaja Yoga. And so immediately I started writing songs. I had written songs before, but they became a bit deeper at that point. And in the end of 1987, I went to London Airport to meet the yogis who were coming back from India tour. And they had such bright, shining faces that not only was I immediately inspired to want to go to India, but it also inspired my first song, which was Queen of India. And that's how I started with Sahaj writing. Afterwards, we moved to Italy. And in sometime like 1994, 1995, with my friend Victor Vertuni, we discussed the possibility of doing a Sahaj Woodstock festival. So maybe you're too young to know anything about Woodstock, but it was a big hippie festival back in the 60s. And we talked about it, nothing really happened, but eventually from that came the idea of the Culture of the Spirit Festival quite a few years later. In that period, also, Geoffrey Godfrey from the UK put together a lot of Sahaj musicians to make an album, which was called Blossom Time. And IPO was the name of the album, but I don't know what it means, IPO. And I recorded only The Spirit, which was not my song, but it had been lost, this song. And so I had to invent the verses because no one knew what they were. And that was my first recording. And then if we fast forward to 2008, a great English musician by the name of Jeremy Clancy invited me to try to record some songs and also to perform. So I went to his studios and I want to thank him so much for this opportunity. Recorded a lot of songs, and we did our first ever live performance. So that was a really special moment. The song "Strong" was talking about walking away from a toxic relationship. So it wasn't really Sahaj, but it was liberating anyway. And then there came the first Festival of the Spirit, which I'd spoken about before in Kabbalah. And that was really important. We called ourselves the Kazella Blues Band. That was the origin of Vilamba. And that December, I went down to Rome and recorded the first album with Carlo Gizzi, who's been the producer and the mastermind behind all of my albums, and I really wouldn't have done anything without him at all. So thank you, Carlo. Here's a little bit of the recording we did down there.
Feeling that I just can't lose.
So then after that, we changed the name to Vilamba, and we went to the first Bella Vita festival at the farm. And here we had a musicians meeting, so a little bit of a forerunner of the Sahaj artists. And we spoke a lot about, best practices, the problems of performing before a non-Sahaj public. But the big question that came out of the meeting was how we can use our art to spread Sahaja Yoga. And this was a really the big question, the $64,000 question for all Sahaj artists, I think. Um, and following that, we came up with the idea of the Bella Vita tour. So this was in 2012, and this was an amazing adventure. 6 bands on a bus going around Europe, performing and giving realization. All the local yogis were organizing the publicity, the venue, the accommodation, the food, and everything. We even had a driver, so none of us had to drive. We just sat on the bus, chatting, enjoying, swapping ideas, and it was a great learning experience. Um, we did a concert in Milan, then we did 2 in Germany, 2 in Switzerland, one of which was actually a program where we were doing bhajans. And one of those programs was actually in a hall where Mother had done a program about 10 years before. And the vibrations were so strong in that. And when we did the realization, we were just flying afterwards. So if Mother has been there, it's still very, very much, you can feel it still very much. And that was amazing. We went then to Paris. We did 2 concerts in London, which was a bit wild. And then went to Everbeck, which is the big ashram in Belgium. And then finally, Holland, Amsterdam. And I'll show you a little bit of Amsterdam. It was the big holiday there as well that day. So it was a crazy atmosphere with a lot of people. There's a lot of cooperation between the bands. I mean, for example, we've got Lowry playing bass. He's from Shava, another band. Ricard Persson, he did the drumming for us. Gianni was just walking by. You can see in the video there. And we were all very, very supportive on this tour, which was another thing I found very important, that when there's a Sahaj band playing, if you're there, get up and dance, show that you're into them, support them. And we did this for each other. And we learned so many things from that tour, from the other artists. For example, Shava, I don't know, Hitesh, do you know Shava? Do you know
Mm,
Kurali? Kurali is the guy behind Shava from Finland. And they're a Finnish Bhangra band. And they dress
uh,
up in Bhangra Punjabi clothes,
oh, yeah, yep. I know them.
and they sing in Finnish. So it's like absolutely unique music. And I learned from them that when you're setting up a concert, um, it's okay. The public are probably already there. You're setting up, you're doing the sound check, but don't go from that to the concert. Go off the stage, take a minute to chill out, change into nicer clothes, then come bouncing back onto stage with a lot of energy. And it makes a big difference, because if you go from sound check to, yes, now it's us and we're going to start singing, it's very low on energy. So, and they're also very good at finding the backstage place to relax. Um, Also, I found out that just before you go on stage, if you sit together and just say Sri Ganesha, meditate for 2 minutes, changes the whole concert as well. And it's always worth shoe beating the negativity, the technical problems, everything, before the concert. We were also with Johan from France, and he taught me the importance of warming up the voice before you perform. And this became very clear to me when I did a recording. And I urge all artists to watch videos of themselves to see what they look like and sound like on stage. I recorded a concert, someone recorded a concert that was 2 hours long, and I was listening to it, wanting to take some clips out of it for YouTube. And I realized that towards the end of the concert, my voice was very good, much better than it was at the beginning. And so, really good idea to warm up the voice before a concert rather than having to wait 1 hour before it comes up. Santa Cecilia were also on this tour from Norway. Very, very professional people. And from them, we learned the importance of interaction with the public because they always have a couple of songs where they get people to sing along with them. And this changes the energy really. It becomes interactive. It's like the difference between cinema and theatre. It becomes interactive, and the vibrations definitely go up at that point. And this came home to me when we did a concert a few years later where we had to play for 2 hours. It was the one that I told you about that was recorded. And I thought we only had to play for 1 hour. And then we stopped. And the guy thought, okay, you're having a break. Now I want you to play for another hour. And we didn't have enough material for that. And so I thought, okay, let's redo one of the songs we've done earlier, but let's change it a bit. And instead of me singing the chorus, we'll get the public to go la 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 la. And I'll show you what happened. So this was really nice. It was the first time we had such a big, and after that, I realized 2 or 3 songs where you get the people to sing along, and it's fun because you're talking to them, you can have a laugh, etc., and it all makes you more credible as a band, and it's easier to give realization in that situation. Talking about art, here's a picture of some of our CD covers. I think art is really important in CD covers, so. This first one, the orange one, the top left, I don't know if you can see my pointer going around here. Can you?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So this was on the in the hangar on the stage. It was a really hot night, and they decided to do some announcements when we were all ready to play. So we thought we'd just lie down for a bit, and someone took this fantastic photo, and that became an album cover. This next one. The backdrop was done by a Sahaja artist called Maria Rojas, and that was for the Festival of the Spirit. I thought that's nice as a background. The next one is a time-lapse photo taken by Ezio Prandini in Cabela. The next one is it's been touched up a bit, but it's a photo from Genova. There's the valley. And then this last one was by an Indian artist from Mumbai called Tejas, who did the posters for our India tour. So I think it's really nice to give space on the CDs if you're making CDs. Give space to Sahaj art as well, and it's really nice that combination. I think is really good. Something I'm really not sure about is when you give realization in a concert. Is it better for the artists themselves to do it or to invite a local yogi on stage? I still don't have the answer to that, and maybe it depends on the situation. Just to go back to the tour, the last people, Marie-Joëlle and Kenny were with us on the tour as well, and they're so professional. And they had really good album covers. And their CD constantly outsold our ones, all the other bands put together. So it's really worth putting a lot of thought into the cover of the CD, I think. You're not insane. You're a flower of tomorrow when you love me. Didn't you mention it in your sorrow? And if you need someone to save you, you will find me. You will find me singing songs, singing till the clouds will disappear. Casabella, Gianni's band, were also on the tour. They came for the last part of the tour. Really lively band, and there's someone who they got up and danced, and we danced for them as well. And I learned a very important thing from Sam, their lead singer. One day we saw her singing. They were singing at the festival, and it was a really hot day. And there weren't very many people. It was the afternoon. They were out in the field. And Sam said, okay, there's not many people, but we're going to have a good time anyway. And I thought, yeah, that's important. You've got to have because, okay, it's nice to have a big public, but you've got to be enjoying yourself on the stage, and people have got to see you're enjoying yourself as well. And that came home to me when a couple of people, young ladies, came to see one of the festival. They came to see us at a concert. And they were people who had been given realization by Eero Heinonen from the Erasmus, who is a fantastic person. I mean, a very, very well-known musician who had no problem giving realization at concerts and gave realization to thousands, probably still does. They got the realization through him, so they weren't really yogis. So it's nice to get feedback from these people because yogis are always very nice, say, oh yes, not so fantastic, but the vibrations are wonderful. But it's nice to have, you know. And I said, did you enjoy it? And they said, yes, yeah, we really enjoyed it, but you didn't. I said, what? You said, you look very serious on stage. And again, it's good to watch a video. And I realized, actually, yes, I'm very focused on getting the chords right and everything. And it made me realize that it's important to be enjoying yourself, to be seen to be enjoying yourself, and to interact with the other members of the band. Kettle from Santa Cecilia is great for this. We were lucky to have him as a bass player on one of our concerts, and he's dancing about all over the place during the concert, which is great. So move about. You're playing great music. Don't stand there like statues. It's a bit boring for the public. That. And talking about body language, my daughter has so much energy. Gwen, she has so much energy. She's always been a very important member of the band. Not only for that, she's also got a great voice. But I'll give you an example of that. We're going to see in a minute a video of our Legends of Rock concert, which is something we do in the summer in Cabela. And this is rock music. We're playing classic rock music. We're not doing any Sahaj music. We don't give realization. This is the whole point of this concert is for us to have fun and to show the public that Sahaja Yogis can also have fun with other kinds of music as well. So it's and it's very much appreciated. They see a lot of young people dancing and having a nice time, not smoking, not drinking, and the local people join in as well. And I'm going to show you a little clip from that. I think you can see from that you can have fun. Why not? And the public appreciate it. It's good for Sahaja Yoga as well. We have a lovely time as well, and we get free pizzas from it. So I think another very important thing that happened to me was in 2014. We had to do a concert in a vegan bar in Pavia in North Italy. And I got sick, unfortunately, just before the concert, so I had to cancel. They weren't very happy with me, but what could I do? And they said, okay, if we find another slot for you, we'll call you. But they didn't think they would. And then a week or so later, they called me and said, listen, another band has cancelled. Can you do a concert on the 21st of March? And I said, well, I mean, in one way, it was a bit sad because we were going to miss the puja, Mother's puja in the castle. But I thought, what better way to celebrate Mother's birthday than by giving realization? So we did the concert. We weren't fantastic, but the vibrations were so strong. I mean, I don't know if you've ever tried giving realization at a fair or something when there's a big puja on somewhere, but you get a lot of vibrational support in that situation. And we gave realization in the concert. And then afterwards, I was talking to this biker, someone with a leather jacket and long black hair. And I said, I hope it didn't seem so too strange to stop in the middle of a concert and do a yoga exercise. And he said, man, I've seen much weirder things than that in concerts. So yeah, that was really important as well because we mustn't be afraid or embarrassed, you know. There's people doing very strange things out there. We can do our stuff. We're doing mother's work. We have to be strong and confident. And that was really important for me, that comment there. Um, Tricky question is when exactly to give the realization. Personally, I like to do it in the middle of the concert if possible. Also because uh, it's nice to do you do the meditate, you do the realization, you explain with just a few words. We're lucky that we got this name Vilamba. That was just a fortunate choice because you just have to explain what the word means. It means the space between thoughts. By the way, would you like to try a meditation exercise? You know, so it leads quite naturally into it. Then afterwards, we play something very slow and meditative, and and then people are thoughtless, and so you can do some nice lively music, and they get up and dance, and it's all part of the joy. But to lead up to that, we normally play a very slow, quite deep song. I'll give you an example of that. This is a song called "I Will Be Strong." So I think you can feel that the it's quite a powerful song, and it gets people into the mood. And when after we played that, it's nice to do the realization exercise. By the way, that concert there was from that song there was from a concert we did to promote the reopening of Cabela School. After, I don't know if you know about the closure about 10 years ago, they closed Cabela School. There was a big investigation, and eventually they discovered there was nothing bad. We weren't treating the children badly, and we reopened the school. So this was part of the campaign to reopen it and to get local people to realize that, you know, Sahaja Yoga is an important part of the community. We need to fight. And we got a lot of support from the public as well. So this was, I mean, I guess it was a little bit political, but we can do that. If it's in a good cause, why not? You know, so um, then another thing I would say, if you're in a situation where you're playing in a restaurant or a bar or something where there's tables, this can be very distracting because people are there to eat and to chat. So if there's any yogis, get them to sit on the table nearest to you. Very important, because if there's nothing worse than having a group of loud, noisy people chatting away right in front of the stage while you're trying to sing deep, meaningful songs. So a tip I learned from that. Um, just to say a little bit, have I got time to say a little bit more?
Yeah, maybe 5 more minutes, and then so that we have enough time for questions.
Okay, so
Right?
I was going to say something about songwriting, but I'll go straight on to the last two tours we did. The biggest one we had, biggest adventure we've had was the India tour, 2017, 2018, 20 concerts in 23 days, which was a bit too much, to be honest with you. Vibrationally, it was fantastic, but we were physically exhausted at the end of it. So my advice to anyone doing a tour of that kind is you have to be polite but firm, and try to insist that you do have some rest days as well. However, I'm very, very grateful to Ashish Yadav and Chandrakant Deodat and Agam Gupta and Vikas Sharma, who organized the whole thing. So here we see all the places we went to in India. All over the place. We went from Chennai up to Delhi and absolutely everywhere. And we ended up with uh, We started with a big concert in Ganapatipule where we had 7,000 people.
This is the time that we dance the race. We're up to the middle and we danced again. In a field in Cabela like a 2010. And there were one or two who still wanna dance, but the caddy on the middle, they didn't have a chance. Let's play the rhythm, made a beat on a tap. Whole of the cushion and they all got the grab.
So that was a really, really amazing experience. And then the last tour we did was to go to Sardinia last year. And that was very Sahaj because we were planning to go as Vilamba and do realization, meditation, Irish music. And but it was at the same time as the weddings and the Ganesha Puja, and no musicians wanted to come with us. They all wanted to be in Cabela. And the result was that we ended up going to Sardinia with just myself and our violinist. And we thought, oh my God, how are we going to do 10 days of touring with just two musicians? But luckily, my wife wrote a book called Answer to Jung, which is a sort of Sahaj view of Carl Gustav Jung, the psychologist. And the Sardinian yogis got interested in this and they said, oh, we'd like to present it. Why don't we do that? And so the tour changed completely. It became presentation of the presentation of this book, followed by realization with a little bit of music as well. So this is the poster meeting. This is in Italian. And And this tour was completely financed by sales of the Italian version of the book. So it was really, really nice indeed. And now it's coming out in French as well. So it's really great, this cooperation between different artists. And this final picture here is the cover of our last album. And the faces, this is done by Emanuele Cornelio, very cleverly photoshopping the faces of every artist who's ever played with the band onto a group picture. This is actually a group picture from a family reunion. This is actually my mother here at the front of it, who's the founder of it all. And I'd just like to say thank you to all these musicians who've helped us over the years, both with recording and with live performances. And thank you all very much for your attention. I hope it's been interesting.
Oh wow, thank you so much. It was really fun, and then at some points the vibrations were really nice. I did feel goosebumps also in some of the pictures that you shared. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So at this point, let's open the floor. If you have any questions, please feel free. We have 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll talk about some group updates. Yeah, please go ahead.
Maybe I can kickstart one question. At least for me, what I faced the biggest challenge is being nervous on the stage. I know as yogis, we have to like overcome it. And you also mentioned that during your first few concerts, you were very focused on the chords and getting it right. How do you balance that, the balance between getting everything right, but at the same time having fun and letting people know that you're having fun? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think by being in a band rather than being on your own, because you support each other, you're interacting, you're looking at each other. If someone makes a mistake, someone else can cover in some way. So, until you get really confident, I think it's very useful to be in a band.
Yeah, I never thought it that way. That really makes sense. Yeah. I have one more question. So, tell us a bit about the band. So you have, so how is the formation of the So I guess all of them are Sahaja yogis, right? But
Not
uh,
always, not always, but I mean, for example, Luca has been our drummer almost since the start. He's practically always with us. And we
mhm.
always say he's the only sane person in the band. Everyone else is a bit crazy, but you need one person in the band who's normal. It's your only chance, you know. And it very much depends who's available. Gianni has done a lot of concerts with us as well, and he's such a versatile musician. He can fill in anywhere with Irish music, with bhajans, anything you like, ragas. He's the man. Very, very professional as well. Sylvia, our violinist, is someone who has been playing with us. She went right round India with us, right round Sardinia and everything. And she's really learned so much Irish music, and she's very dependable for that. And recently, we've had a couple of younger people playing with the band, the sons of Carlo Gizzi, Tiziano and Tommaso. And this is really nice to have younger people in the band because it lowers the average age of the band. No, I'm joking. Because
Yeah. Yes.
because it gives another point of view, and of course, other band members give their own input, and it can adapt. You know, the music can change, the song can change a bit. People say, "Why don't you try this?" Or they make a mistake. Hey, that works, you know. But you know, my daughter was very, very important, especially at the beginning, because she's got so much stage presence.
I see. Okay. If anyone doesn't have a question, I have one more. So I mean, I'll give you a chance. So someone has a question here. Do you plan to have a few time to chat when the recording is off? I think Finbar has to go at
I've got to
later.
go quite soon in 5 minutes because actually there's a puja in the hangar now. It's just starting, so I'd love to get over that, but I'm very happy. Ciao, hi, Katerina. Nice to see you.
Hi. I don't have any questions, but I just want to say I enjoyed so much your all the stories that you told and all the
Oh,
tricks.
thank you.
It was very interesting, very useful, very enjoyable. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Teshimachi. Lovely to see you.
Thank you, Finbar. I feel the same. And I wanted to say, perhaps I noticed in India you were playing Irish music, and people were very happy to discover this music. And in Europe, we need to have Indian music. It's funny. And perhaps in India, we should plan to have Europe and Western music more, because
I
Indian
think
people
good
are very
music is good music. I think, you know, good music is good music. So,
Yes, of
um,
course, but I think in our minds, I mean, sometimes it's only Indian music, but
yeah,
I thinking this.
I think it's all good. I mean, I mean, I know that when the Yuvas went to India and started singing Qawwali there, the people were, "Wow, that's amazing!" You know, Westerners doing Qawwali. So I think everything is good. You know, it's the vibrations that count more than anything.
Sorry to keep you here. I know that you have to go to the puja. So wonderful. I just have one question. With all this amount of work that you have done, that you have held so many concerts, have you have any situation or challenge situation of giving realization when a concert is paid, or all of the concerts
Ah,
has been?
okay.
Yeah.
It's a very important question, that, because
Mhm.
of course you can't pay for Sahaja Yoga.
Mhm.
It's really rare to have a paid concert, unfortunately. We've During the Bella Vita tour, we had paid concerts, but it was the yogis who were paying for them, not the non-yogis. So I think it's an important question. You know, people have said, yes, in that situation, they're paying for the whole, not for the realization, or they're paying for the music, not for the realization. So it's a tricky one. It's a very tricky one, but you can justify it like that. But, you know, I think if you have a situation where people make a contribution rather than having a fixed price, then if they've got money, they give it. If they don't, they just give €1 or something. So like that, nobody. I mean, the important thing is that nobody is denied their realization because they don't have enough money. That's the bottom line, I think.